Why, hello, you amazing, beautiful people, and welcome back to another Warhammer reaction video. That is it. After today, we have finally gone through the entire 2-hour journey that is Bricky's Warhammer Factions Explained. We would have finished every single part of it. We would have done, I can't believe it is 2 hours actually. We would have done part 1 and part 2, and we are done. We are done with the Factions Explained. But there's still so much more. There's the Space Marine videos people want me to react to. There is the timeline video people want me to react to. So let me know in the comment section what other Warhammer reactions you would like to see. I've really enjoyed Bricky's videos. I think Bricky does an excellent job at explaining it to newbies. As a newbie, as someone who is very new to the Warhammer universe, this has been fantastic. And it's also made me fall in love with this universe already. I find myself talking to people about it. And people who are like into Warhammer and know more about it. And I'm just so much more interested now all of a sudden. It's like, oh, I like Warhammer. I'm like, oh my god, tell me about it. Just because of the world. The world is so viciously brutal that it is impossible not to love. Which doesn't make any sense, but somehow it does. Press the like button, subscribe for more. Let's see if we can get a silver plaque on that wall one day next to that one. Without more talking from me, let's jump into Bricky's incredible every single Warhammer 40k faction explained, part 2, the finale.
The Harlequins. Clowns.
What's the matter, Andy? Don't you want to have some fun?
The Harlequins are a bizarre race of Eldar. They're demonic clown performers.
So they're part of the
They're
Eldar.
like a weird mix of Sander Cohen from BioShock and Jin from League of Legends, but in a more clown theme. They're artists of death and perfecters of their craft. They do not belong to Craft Worlds or any of the weird Drukhari people. They guard something called the Black Library, which is this giant tome of never-ending knowledge deep in the heart of the Eldar webway, and also guarded by their god named Kegorok, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He is the laughing god, but it's the Eldar's laughing god? And these are the Harlequins, the Harlequin clowns. These are Eldar clowns, okay? So imagine the things that an Eldar, these depraved individuals would find funny. And this is the god of that. It's a horror clown. These are gods of horror for us.
You see, at first I was kind of like, this faction kind of chill. They're like magicians going around. And then when he mentioned the Eldar and the things they enjoy, and they're a bunch of horny nutjobs into BDSM and stuff, what they would find funny. Holy shit.
It's normal people. For them, they're like, oh,
I prefer the DC Harlequin,
so
I'm gonna be honest, man.
They're all dying horribly.
I don't know about these ones.
Honk, honk. They're very bizarre and difficult to describe. They've escaped the ruinous powers of Slash somehow, but their main thing is guarding that Black Library, and the Harlequins just...
What's the deal with this library?
They're demon clown performers. They're barely any models on the tabletop. They're good in melee.
They look kind of cool. Clowns. I really love their models.
I'm not sure. I got a quote. It is too easy for an Eldar to embrace the obscene virtues of chaos, for Slaanesh is nothing more than a manifestation of the Eldar mind in its most wild and unconstrained form. Human morality is meaningless to the Eldar, and to the dark side of the Eldar mind, all life is to be expended at a whim. Cruelty and generosity are but the impulse of a moment. Beauty and sensuality are virtues that can be expressed in bloodshed just as easily as in song. To an unfettered Eldar mind, there is neither sanity nor madness, but merely a wave of perfect existence fulfilled by its own savage momentum. They're very strange. The Harlequins, Drukhari, Eldar, they are an anomaly that make humans seem completely easy to understand in comparison. They range from rekindling their civilization to horrifying murder and also clowns. They're all over the place, but honestly, they represent quite well and are rather interesting, especially with the whole Slaanesh murdering everyone bit. So,
it feels perfectly Warhammer at this point, where they're like, so there's this race. They're kind of chill. They keep to themselves. They got their own planet. Oh yeah, they also sacrifice infant children, and they go on this the hunt of the dogs, and then they sacrifice all sorts of cute cuddly koalas, and oh yeah, and then when they find other planets, they enslave them and making their bitches, but they're quite chill. They're one of the more chilled factions in the Warhammer universe.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Now, bugs.
Ma, they following me, Ma. They following me.
Who following you?
The bugs.
The bug.
The Tyranids. Now, you want to talk something a lot more fun, a little more simple than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans? Let's talk the Tyranids. They're bugs.
Now, as someone who, my all-time favorite movie is Starship Troopers, and I got a lot of Starship Troopers shit on this shelf. If you watch me on Twitch, you'll see it. Got the display back there. Bugs. I could get behind the bugs, man. I can get behind the bugs. I can get behind the bugs. I'm a big fan of bugs in any kind of entertainment. Bugs are great. Scary fucking things. Fun to fight. I like this. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the tabletop models of these.
Than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans. Let's talk the Tyranids. They're bugs. Do they look like Zerg? Hell yeah, they look like Zerg. You want to know why they look like Zerg? Because they were actually supposed to be what Zerg were. Apparently StarCraft was supposed to be a 40k game in the beginning, hence why they look so much like Eldar, Zerg, and the Imperium of Man. Like, kind of Space Marine-y, those Marines, huh? They look a little bit Space Marine-y to me. Maybe. I don't know. You really fucked up on that one, Games Workshop, didn't ya? Tyranids are a giant infestation of
Never played StarCraft.
Unfathomable proportions. These are giant, extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms.
They are so
that
cool.
are basically all about
And so fucking
absorbing
gross.
as much biomass as they possibly can to evolve and mutate to be extremely potent and powerful and kill and eat anything in their path. They are probably the least evil faction in all of 40k because all they want to do is eat shit. They want to nom nom the entire galaxy. They hangry and we food. Also, this Tyranid hive mind.
Kind of crazy that he just said they're probably the least evil faction in all of 40k, and they are what all of us would consider the villains. In stories, horror, science fiction, these motherfuckers would be the villains of those stories. They are the villains of most science fiction movies and books, right? That is the case. However, in the world of Warhammer 40k, these motherfuckers might as well be the good guys. Because all they want to do is eat. They don't want to torture or grape. They don't want to do any of that shit. All they want to do, eat. And weirder things they want to eat. Much like a lot of you probably look at animals and go, delicious. That's how they look at us. Same fucking vibe.
Has a presence in the warp. In fact, Tyranids in their own right have a massive presence in the warp. They have a thing called the shadow in the warp specifically, where when they are coming in to invade a planet, they have this weird ability to kind of cut off the warp on all the psychers on that planet. And how do you get help across the stars? Well, you need the warp because you need that for interstellar travel. So with people unable to call for help from the Tyranids, these are just easy pickings. And an entire giant Tyranid hive fleet comes out of orbit and just will massacre, absorbing all that biomass and turning them and all of their other Tyranids into even more advanced monsters. They come in so many varieties too, all in based on what is important.
These are so cool. Probably my favorite faction already.
Scouting and having little dudes.
Look at these evil bastards, man.
The Hormigons, Termagants, and Genestealers, all the way to the Hive Guard and the Execrans and the Swarm.
Damn, it's like something from Resistance Fall of Man.
Tyrants and their giant
Lost
battle
Planet-esque
fleet,
monsters.
and even something as crazy.
Any of you guys ever play the Lost Planet games? That just unlock a memory. Do you remember the Lost Planet games? Fucking great games.
As the Hierophant Bio-Titan.
Also, random thing while I'm talking. I really want a new Infamous game. Are they ever going to make another Infamous game? I want another Lost Planet. I want another Infamous. And I want an Assassin's Creed with the old style combat. You know what? What else? What else do I want? What else? I want to go back in time and experience Grand Theft Auto for the first time. I don't want much. And £1 million.
Battle fleet, and even something as crazy as the Hierophant Bio-Titan.
Look at that dude!
The Tyranids come in all forms and sizes depending on what they require. They are extremely good at anti-biological weaponry. There is no way you can plague them or blight them. They have extremely strong armor, carapaces and such. Tyranids are nigh perfect organisms and are pretty spooky when it comes down to how they handle all of their genetic material. Keep feeding them, they'll keep evolving.
That looks like a
creating
scene from Alien.
new horrifying organisms to spread across the galaxy.
Are those the Rambo jungle people we found out about earlier? Which, by the way, I've never seen Rambo. I've always wanted to watch Rambo, but my wife doesn't want to watch it with me. So one day, I'm just going to have to watch it on my own.
And you want to know what the most terrifying part of the Tyranids is? We might be surrounded. There have been around 6 or 7 Tyranid hive fleets. Behemoth, Kronos, all these different kinds of hive fleets. And they've all arrived in the galaxy from different points. Different sections of the Milky Way galaxy have had different Tyranids come through. And that is horrifying, because as far as we know, we could just be surrounded on all sides by Tyranids. The only reason you may not hear a whole lot about Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have.
So the concept is basically because Tyranids have invaded the Milky Way from every single side, that would imply that maybe the rest of the universe is just Tyranids. And considering they can like shut off planets and from like the outside world, it makes them pretty much fucking indestructible to something that's taken over so much of the galaxy. Now, are Tyranids present in the warp? He said yes, but only to block it off. So are they actually present in the warp in general? Because if they're not, then Tyranids could actually be the savior of the galaxy in a weird way, because the warp seems like the most awful thing in the galaxy.
The only reason you may not hear a whole lot about Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have a bunch of story off of one hive mind genocidal monsters. All these giant bugs swarming in, killing and eating everybody and evolving. Oh, I mean, as cool as there are, there's some cool characters, the Swarm Lord, Old One-Eye. You can't really have a whole bunch of major character-based stories around them. As awesome as they are, they're simple. They want to eat you. They want to eat you and absorb your biomass. They are simple bugs. If you want something a little more complex, talk Genestealer cults.
I can have all the pot I want, I get around faster than walking, and wherever I need a seat, I can just sit on my balls.
Genestealer cults are a special
Shout out Randy from South Park, man. Fuck's sake.
brand of Tyranid that can slowly infect themselves into different kinds of society. And by infecting them, they can rise up to where they all pray and believe in these regular humans, pray and believe into their Tyranid hive mind gods.
Sounds
and
like
these
Fear
brood lords
the
and,
Sky
I think they're called
saga.
Patriarchs all can turn an
Minus
entire world, all based into Genestealers. And these are called...
Anyone ever read Fear the Sky? It was like a really famous audiobook a while ago. I've never met another person that's heard it. Very, very good.
Genestealer cults. An entire hive world of the Imperium can be turned into nothing but servants to the Tyranid masters just by infecting them
These
and
are Tyranids.
screwing with their genetic code a little bit. They also have this cool like Mad Max look, which is really neat. They are definitely one of the bigger threats to the
the
Imperium
Gaul,
besides
whatever,
Chaos.
from
I keep
Stargate.
saying biggest threat to the Imperium. They're up there though, because you, dingus, stepped on a bug in middle school. Asshole. There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale. And all we can do is to try to stop the swarms of bioengineered monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salvage our fears. We call it the Tyranid race. But if it is aware of us, it must know us as nothing but prey.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of fucking love them. They like, and I love how these. I love how it is a complete contradiction of our life, like of our fucking world. The fact that you have these sons of bitches, these big motherfuckers. Look at them, right? These big motherfucking bugs that go around eating everybody, killing, butchering everybody, you know? And then infecting the minds of people like some sort of Star Trooper's brain bug and taking over a whole damn freaking planet, you know? Like the Gaul or some other bug. What's in the good bug movie where bug goes in brain, takes people over? I don't know. Those are the examples I can think of off the top of my head. I love how we have a race like this that what we would consider evil, what we make movies and TV shows and things about, like, oh, they want to consume fucking zombies, you know, evil, right? And in Warhammer, they are just kind of chill. Comparatively, our worst nightmares in our lives are the good guys in the Warhammer universe. Ain't that fucked up?
Tyranids. They're cool.
What do they look like on the table?
Orks?
Oh man, we didn't get to see any tabletop figures. Are there any tabletop figures for the Tyranids? I'm actually really, you know, fuck that. Actually, no way. Let me have a look. How'd you spell them? Tyranids. Okay. T-Y Ranid. Alright. T-Y Ranid. Tyranid. Tabletop figures. Let's have a little look here. Are there any? Wait, are these them? Maybe? These? Are these them? They don't look as cool as I was hoping. First ones look kind of cool. What's this thing? It's like a fucking bug thing here. That's kind of freaky. Alright. I'll get some of these up on screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Oh, these ones look kind of cool. I like these ones. They look good. They look a bit better. Alright, Tyranids. Oh, this one looks cool. Look at this. Fucking hell, that one looks awesome. Alright, there's some really cool tabletop figures. Alright, that's cool. That's cool. Alright, fucking hell. See, that's what I wanted to see. That looks awesome.
That means I'm super fast.
Orks, 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 orks. I fucking love orks. So, yes, the green monsters, the green tide, the green skins. These orks, they are in fact a race in 40k. The orks are as exactly what you expect them. They have archaic weapons, they're big boys, they have axes, and they have got big old teeth, and they want to kill everything, and there are so many of them. The only reason they haven't taken over the entire galaxy is they can't stop murdering each other. Orks are so cool. Orks don't have philosophy. Orks don't have existential crisis. What matters is who's the biggest ork. You listen to that guy, because he the biggest ork. He big ork. Big ork knows best. You win through the power of imagination. Of all the races I have battled throughout the galaxy, the ork is the hardest to comprehend. They wage war with machines that should not work, care little for strategic gains, and are just as likely to slaughter each other as the enemy. How does one battle an enemy that defies all logic? As an ork, you're
kind of like when you get professional fighters and boxers who will like go against amateur fighters, and they say they're the hardest fights because they can't predict an amateur fighter. They can predict and analyze a professional fighter, but you can't predict an amateur fighter. Same reason that if you have someone who knows how to fight, like, and someone who doesn't, when they get into street fights, usually it just ends in grappling, despite one might be drastically outmatched than the other one. And that is because of shit like this. I like it.
How does one battle an enemy that defies all logic?
Or to kind of fucking with the orcs a little bit.
You're enjoying life. You're enjoying the life you're given.
Who are their enemies?
Your whole life and job and purpose is to get up and beat each other to death because you can. The biggest ork is the man who understands everything. He is the boss. And orks have this really weird, like, big, dumb, stereotype British accent, which is just hilarious to me. Those are orks. You fight. You like to fight. Your whole purpose is to fight. You wage war because you want to wage war. You got your boss over there, and you better listen to the boss, because if you don't listen to the boss will squish you and make you an example for the other orks. And then you can't fight because ork dead. And ork dead can't fight because the ork dead. Orks.
True.
They scrap together machines out of...
Is that a fucking spaceship? How the hell does that thing fly? Bro, what man? It looks like it looks like it's got teeth. What the hell?
Parts that don't make any sense, and because they believe, they have the mental imagination that that machine will run, it'll run. If that machine's out of gas, you're driving that machine with your fellow orks, and the biggest ork is behind the wheel, and you run out of gas, some ork behind you is like, oh, Zog, we're out of gas. And the big ork is like, no, we're not. I filled the fucking gas tank up earlier. And all the other orks are like, oh yeah, you did do that. And then you turn the fucking mech back on and it works again. Does it have gas? Probably not, but it works. The power of imagination. They paint things red because it makes them think they go faster. They paint things purple because it's the sneakiest color. You wanna know why? You ever seen a purple ork? Didn't fucking think so. Orks are also like ancient as hell. They're back in the Eldari time frame. But back then they were called Orks, and they were much larger and scarier and far more intelligent. Now they're just orks, and they're big, dumb, and they smack things. But they're...
Wait, the Orks. The orks used to be far more intelligent? Okay. There's a lot of like... Do you know what the crazy thing is? There's so much lore that is present in the Warhammer universe, and then there's lore that is historic. We haven't even fucking started a lot of that.
Pretty spooky. They're not very well armored, but they hit really hard, and it's called the Green Tide because there are so many orks. There are about as many orks as there are Tyranids. Maybe more. Who knows? But they keep on, murdering each other, so it's not too bad of an issue. Orks are entirely comic relief. Their stuff is slapped together. That makes no sense. Their vehicles don't work the way they're supposed to, but they work.
Where the hell do they come from?
It works because they imagine that it works. Orks care only about who is the biggest ork, and they will follow the biggest ork. And then if they want to be the biggest ork, they'll challenge the biggest ork. And then when they go and they issue a wah is just war in Orc, they murder everybody and everything in this giant tide of green orcs who are just excited to be hitting something. They don't care that they're hitting Eldar or the Imperium or Tau.
I have no idea what the hell's going on behind him, but I'm very focused on whatever it is.
Or anyone in between. They're just so they get to beat shit up. That's Orcs. And on the tabletop, they are a total coin flip.
They are
and
so cool!
Really
What the fuck is that? Look at this stuff in the back!
Orc player. I have never met someone who plays Orcs and is ever just a bad guy or that guy. Orc players have this kind of fun to them because when you play them, you are completely submitting yourself to RNG. So here's the thing. Guardsmen, Imperial Guardsmen, when they shoot, they roll a dice, and on a 4 up, they'll hit their target. They have a 50% chance. Space Marines, pretty good. They hit on a 3 or higher because they're well trained. Adeptus Custodians, they hit on 2s because they're just super well trained. Orcs, they hit on a 5 or higher. But if they roll a 6, they get to make another shot with anything, from the dinkiest pistol to the biggest rocket launcher. It doesn't matter. Half of their stuff will blow up on a whim. One of their medics, if you roll a
half of their stuff just blows up randomly. I fucking love this. I love the idea of like looking at an army, okay? Your stereotypical army, you look at, there's an army, and it's like, you know, organized. There's the soldiers, you got the cavalry. Oh, look, good army, right? And it's like, here's the orc army. It's like, are they fighting each other? No, they come in this way, but that guy just killed that guy. And then it's just like explosions and things falling over things. It looks like a war coming towards another war. You're like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I love that idea.
To heal someone, you fuck up your surgery and you just kill an orc. They're so wacky and silly. But the thing is if you roll well, you roll high, and you keep rolling high, you are going to crush people. And if you don't, you lose. I mean, that's what you get when you play Orcs. That's what happens when you play Orc. It's a coin flip, which is why you can't be a salty bitch when you play Orcs, because
I don't really understand how the tabletop works. So could I not just turn up with like 25 Space Marines and just be like, right, I'm playing, and then and like all the Inquisitors, whatever they're called, and just like have such like high roll range that I just kill every single army? Are there things to counter that? How does it actually work? I don't like. Can someone let me know? Because surely Orcs are like one of the harder ones to play. I'll be honest though, it looks so cool. Like, man, if you're one of these people who can build and paint things like this, like I said, this is the only reason I'd never collect Warhammer. And it's true, I never would. It is because of the painting. I wouldn't want to buy a finished model. I'd want to paint it and make it myself or create it myself. And I don't have the skills for that. And like, I don't have the patience to learn or the time, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I just never would be able to get into it. But I like looking at it. You know, I like looking at it. It looks cool.
Things won't go your way. It's just the roll of the dice. You're playing a dice game. But if you're going to have fun,
True,
and you want to be stupid, and you want to be silly, you're going to play some damn Orcs. But on the opposite side of the fun part of this, let's talk about the Necrons. The Necrons are spooky, scary skeletons and very grimdark again. They have a much more fleshed out lore than before. Back in the day, they were just undead Egyptian space terminators, and they still look that way, but now they actually have a story. So way back in the day, you had the Necron tier. Kind of see a theme here: Eldari, Eldar, Krork, Orc, Necron, Necron tier. So the Necron tier were this race of generally kind of shitty people. Not because they were...
What? You're telling me that in the Warhammer universe there were some shitty people? Psh, yeah, whatever.
Were personally shitty because their lives were awful. They were ill-fated to a horrible existence of like radiation and a terrible planet they lived on, and everything just really sucked. Being a Necron tier was just really depressing. They really were looking for immortality. They were extremely reliant on the hope that they would eventually find the key to living forever and just stave off this horrible nature that they were thrust upon them, and therefore they could become the most dominant race in the galaxy. And they found this group. They're called the Old Ones. Imagine them kind of like the Forerunners in Halo or the Xel'Naga in StarCraft, right? These Old Ones were these strong...
Can I be honest, played Halo, don't know what the fuck the Halo things were. I don't know what the StarCraft things were either, but I've played Halo. What the hell are these dudes from Halo?
Saga in StarCraft, right? These old ones were these
Is it one of the newer Halo games?
Pretty much omnipotent beings, and they of course knew the key to immortality. So the Necrons went to them and said, "Please, show us your ways." And the old ones said, "Piss off." Not really. They were a lot more humble about it, but they did not want to share their secret of immortality with the Necrons. The Necrons, of course, took this very well. And waged war with them, kind of under this united banner. The Necron different dynasties didn't really like each other, but under this one man, the Silent King, he thought the best way to unite his race was to do this giant...
Big fan of the legs, by the way. Big fan of... By the way, the Necrons look so cool. Are we going to get to see some tabletop figures of these bad boys at the end as well? Look at them. They're just like a bunch of Grim Reapers.
War with the old ones out of spite for them keeping the secret of immortality to them. This was known as the War in Heaven, and this is actually like a multi-stage war, because during this War in Heaven, they discovered the Star Gods, a whole new race of people known as the Catan, or the Catan. These Star Gods were also very much like old ones, almost omnipotent beings, and they too had the key to immortality. And so the Necrons went to them and said, "Hey, can you help us fight off the old ones? Can you help us kill these old ones, you, the Catan?" And the Catan said yes. And in fact, we can help provide you with the immortality you so desperately seek. So the Silent King of the Necrons decided to make a pact with the Catan to allow them to accept this generous gift of immortality upon them. But this, of course, had been a horrendous trap. And the Necrons were dragged in chains to this biotransference where their flesh was stripped from them, replaced with nothing but a metal hollow shell, as their souls were ripped from their...
So they're more like Terminator exoskeletons than they are actually skeletons.
...body and fed to the Catan. And the Catan fattened up. They got chonk on the souls of the Necrons. As this was their plan all along, they consumed the flesh and souls of the Necron tier and turned them all into unwilling robotic slaves just to serve their will.
Jesus
and then
Christ.
With their new-founded Necron army, they pointed their guns at the old ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these old ones.
So, the Catan, is that what they're called? The Necrons were like, we want to fight the old ones. The Catan were like, we also want to fight the old ones. Together, we could defeat the old ones. However, we're going to eat you instead. And even though you want to fight the old ones, we're going to eat you, consume you, and then enslave all of you into mindless robots, and then we'll fight the old ones. And it's like, I know we both wanted to, but we kind of want to a little bit more, and you're annoying us.
The old ones did their
Something
best
like
to stave it off. They even created other races, the Eldari and the Orks, to try to fight off the horrifying...
The old ones created the Eldari and the Orks, okay.
Necron army and the Catan above them, but there was absolutely no possible chance for them. And the old ones were absolutely extinguished across the galaxy. Their entire race completely removed. Full on 100% genocide. However, during all this, the Catan, so just infatuated with their victory, started fighting each other for fun, for sport, and for small differences, doesn't matter. The Catan, with these overpowered people, they're gonna eventually hit each other at some point. And as they began just menially fighting each other, the Eldari and the Orks actually started pushing on the Catan's borders a little bit, giving them a little bit of a run for their money. And as this continued, this is when the Silent King, who retained his consciousness, decided to leap into action and start a full-scale revolt against their Catan masters.
Oh, so the Silent King was still alright.
Was bloody, as the entire Necron army was surged off to destroy these star gods. They were able to, just after suffering horrendous losses, were able to turn the tide of the war. And they took these Catan and they blasted them. Because as these star gods are unkillable, they were able to break them into thousands of shards and entrap them in giant stasis vaults to now actually be slaves to the Necrons. And with the Necrons having the entirety of their old gods enslaved to them, They realized that soon their race was about to be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Eldari and the Orks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant...
Did he just say the old gods were still enslaved? That took a little bit of a while to process. I thought the old gods were all wiped out, but they were gone.
Stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy that was rightfully theirs. And then some
Wait, who went into the freaking stasis tombs?
be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Eldari and the Orks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy
they're not
that was
in
rightfully
active
theirs.
play right
and
now,
then
then.
some
They're hiding.
dingus Adeptus Mechanicus guy diddled with a green console, and now the Necrons are back and they see all these primitive races on their lawns and they think, get the fuck off of it. The Necrons are back, super advanced, and they are here to reclaim the galaxy that they so rightfully believe is theirs. Now, at tabletop, they're all like that. Tons of undead Egyptian skeleton robots that when they die, they just get right back up because they keep on reanimating. Hard to kill, tons of crazy stuff. You can use the Catan themselves as units to
that looks
fight
awesome.
with. Pretty cool.
Wow.
The Necrons are one of the three major events in 40k. The Horus Heresy, the Fall of the Eldar, and the Awakening of the Necrons are all pretty substantial events. And the Necrons themselves are pretty dang cool as well. Here's a good quote from a wonderful Dawn of War game.
Did it really start that simply? Did one guy really just press some buttons on a keyboard and boom? You know, I wonder what's inside this big old Indiana Jones style tomb. Bleep, bloop, bloop. Psh. Oh, it's a fucking army of demons.
Lucky creatures, as long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs, I was remade. Here, my brethren slumbered for eons while the living grew like weed. My Lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Kronos will be a tomb world once more. Necrons are also pretty smug. Trazyn the Infinite especially, a little dickhead. But speaking of dickheads, last race, let's talk the Tau.
We made a fucking Wookiee.
The exact formation of the Tau Empire is not entirely understood. However, a long time ago, many thousands of years ago, in the 40k world that is, some Imperial navigation vessels were going around through different areas, and they saw a primitive race, blue people, smacking each other with sticks and stones. And they thought, nah, dumb Xenos race, who gives a shit, and they bailed. Then this giant warp storm occurred right in that major area, unable to be breached. Then, once that warp storm 6,000 years later subsided, hello, those little sticks. Well, they decided to actually have no war of any kind and all just unite together under one flag of the Tau Empire. And now they have gigantic starships and Gundam robots and lasers and railguns and mechs, and they are here to ruin your day for the greater good. That is generally the Tau Empire. They have this kind of feeling of this homogenous group. All species can go underneath the banner of the greater good. The greater good is their idea of the fundamental increase and help of all. In fact, they are most likely the most like the Covenant in Halo, where they have the overarching prophets, being the ethereals, who are actually kind of dicks and like to pull at strings a little bit, but then you have all these different races directly underneath them, and they all work together.
I'm confused. They sound alright. I thought Warhammer was like, everybody is a dick, everybody, fuck this guy, fuck that guy wants to eat that guy wants to kill this guy, that guy, you don't even know what that guy did last weekend. Like, everyone's kind of like that, right? These guys seem like great or good people. But then again, hot fuzz. If you know, you know.
In this big group as this large, foreboding race that tries to spread their weirdly pseudo-religious influence across the galaxy.
Isn't
the alien is not intrinsically
alien
evil.
From
Do
Mass
not
Effect?
hate him. Pity him, his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and equate him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good. That is generally the Tau. And if you're kind of wondering like what their mainly big shtick is, well, they're all about big robots and mechs. They have laser rifles and rail guns. They got giant mechs with tons of missile pods and heavy rail rifles and rail guns and burst cannons and ion accelerators and void shields and all this stuff. And that is generally what the Tau's all about. But you're probably thinking, Bricky, this doesn't sound that evil.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound very grim, dark Warhammer.
That's literally exactly what I'm thinking. Bricky's in my head. I'm literally thinking exactly that. These guys sound like the good guys. I thought there was no good guys. We found them, the good guys. I don't understand. Are they not like butchering people? Like, what the fuck?
And you'd be right. The Tau Empire really don't have that much of a horrifying, grim, dark style like everybody else. They're much more younger, new age thing. In fact, they're probably a lot less evil and a lot even better than they are now back in the day, because they liked having like that good guy faction. But a lot of us who really like the dark, depressing style of Warhammer didn't really like it that much. So, see, the Tau get a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate isn't necessarily unjustified.
Amazing.
It's mainly from a tabletop perspective, but as you can see from all the visuals I've shown you recently, they don't really fit in the 40k universe very well. They lack that super dark, dramatic, kind of high gothic level the Imperium has. They don't have the weird kind of like grungy stuff that Chaos or say the Orks do. And the Necrons and the Eldar have their own specific style as well. The Tau really do look like something out of Gundam. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does definitely not fit too well. There's that. There's also the tabletop problem. In tabletop, Tau are horrible at melee combat, but exceptionally good at ranged combat. So they blast everyone from really, really far away, and they have a million rules to make it so that it's nearly impossible for you to get into melee combat. So it basically just forces you to bottleneck the game into one specific gameplay style, which is gun to gun. And if you're doing gun to gun, they're going to win every time, because they're the Tau, and the Tau are really damn good at shooting. So it's one of those things that make the Tau generally rather hated, and a lot of different reasons for that, both from style and such. But this,
honestly, hearing a faction is kind of hated makes me immediately want to play that faction. Literally straight away, I was like, if I ever get into Warhammer, I'm picking these guys just so everyone is like, man, fuck that guy. I like come in, I got my Tau faction. I was like, oh, fuck you, man. This guy here. That sounds kind of funny to me. Damn. All right. The thing is, I like, were these like added to the Warhammer universe? Were they just added, or have they always been part of the Warhammer universe? In a vast, ever-expanding universe, no one being can ever seem like out of place, because you're gonna get different races and beings and everything everywhere, right? But yeah, they do sound kind of random. They just appeared on this planet. They're just like this. They are very chill and good. They're all united. They're just your standard soldiers. They don't fit in. But then again, what have we seen in this universe? I guess the main thing that everyone has is like blood, guts, and gory. Maybe the idea of the Tau is that there's going to be people who just can't play as villains, and this was supposed to bring in those people, you know?
This is actually one of the things I wanted to end this video with, is that the Tau, while they have their issues, you should not be discouraged from playing them. I'll make plenty of Tau weeaboo jokes, of course I will, but it's all generally in good fun. Anyone who legitimately doesn't want you to play a faction is an idiot, and you shouldn't be giving them the time of day. You pick what you think is cool and what you like. In Warhammer, especially now, factions get better and they get worse. They grow and then they fall. You should only be playing what you think is cool. You like them.
You know, they keep like, I keep hearing like the factions like they have these rules and those stats. Are these all like guidelines? Is that like an official rule book that everyone follows that gets updated, or is it more like within the community? There'll be like more spoken rules, and people say like, no, I don't follow those rules, I follow these rules. Or is it, this is the rule book? How does it work?
The look, you like the models. If you're talking tabletop, that is what you should be going for every time, is what you think is badass, because things change all the time. But the universe of Warhammer has so much going.
I kind of agree. I could not give a flying fuck about the stats of any of these factions. Don't care. Not even a little bit. The only thing I care about is which ones look cooler. That is 100% the only thing I give a fuck about. the triads, whatever the freaking they were called, triads. Those look awesome. They look well cool. If I was gonna play this, it would either be the Tau because they look well cool. Maybe it will be the Bugs. Oh man, there's too many factions to go through actually. I don't know. I'd need time to pick.
And every faction has something interesting. Every character
I'm not a big
has
fan
a
of like
story,
the
and there's a
crazy
million
gothic
stories to be
giant
told.
spaceships.
The universe is vast and exciting, and while it is dark, depressing, and horrible, that is the damn charm.
For like a
and out of
sleek-looking
everything
one.
I've told you in these 2 videos, is anything you can take away is the reason why so many of us are so into this series and why we like it so much. Because with so much variety, such an expansive universe, and so much that can be done, you can find yourself having a pretty great time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has been informative to you. If you'd like to see more of me, Bricky, we have twitch.tv/Bricky for my
Bricky's got
streams.
Twitch.
You have my
Damn.
merchandise site in which I was wearing all of my merch, but underneath this because I had to wear this so it wasn't black or white for the green screen, which is a little unfortunate, but it's fine. If you'd like to see merch, it is in the description. Also, if you'd like to support me on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Bricky for more videos
Shout out
like
Bricky,
this,
man. Shout out
then
Bricky.
that would also be
There's all
wonderful.
Bricky's
So
links.
Twitch,
Shout out Bricky.
merch, Patreon, anything if you want to
Hell yeah.
support, that would be fantastic. I'd appreciate it. If not, I'm just stoked you got all the way to the end of the video, and that is enough for me. So I'm going to be having some more content like this out in the future. Thank you so
Shout
much
out
for
Bricky.
sticking around this long and being with me through this pretty rough time. That's, I think, all I got. Also, before I go, let me leave you with my favorite Warhammer quote. He who scoffs at the power of the las gun has never ran through a field of 1,000 of them. Bye-bye.
I'm guessing that's because the lasgun is the completely inaccurate dog shit fucking stormtrooper's rifle, right? I mean, think about it this way. If there was a hallway, and I was standing at one end of the big old hallway, and you were standing at the other end, and I had one lasgun, and you were running towards me, you may fancy your chances. However, if I had a million, I don't know how you'd feel. So yeah, I guess I kind of fuck with that. Alright. Man, the Warhammer universe is really cool. Also, again, huge shout out, Bricky. Massive shout out. Bricky puts together some absolutely incredible videos. I've really enjoyed what I've watched so far. I've enjoyed starting this with the secret level episode, and then I massively enjoyed moving on to online animated series, which is going to be coming back as well, and I can't wait for that to come back. When is that supposed to come back? It's a while away, isn't it? And now we are going through Bricky's videos, and we are doing the timeline. I also want to say a thank you to all of you who are subscribing and liking and following the videos here on G.O.T. Extra. When we moved Warhammer over here, because I just mainly this is why, if anyone ever wondering. When I'm like doing a recording session, the Bricky videos were really long, so it was hard to fit them into like already long videos. So like on a Tuesday, you might have like a HoloLive, a Taylor Swift, and an anime video, and all of those are quite long, and those are all like already like get like guaranteed slots. On like a Wednesday, we're gonna have anime videos, which are long in their own regard, and we might have extra anime slots. And then on Friday we have our biggest videos. So basically, and then Saturday we've got multiple different anime reactions. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, when I'm doing a recording session, if I have another giant video, like the Bricky's ones, they're hard to fit into the schedule. So I was finding it really difficult to be able to react to these. So that's why I just put them on the second channel. But I want to say, like, thank you to everyone for supporting them. They've been really fun to explore, and you guys still want me to check out so much. And as long as you guys keep watching and supporting, I'm happy to do it continued here on YouTube rather than in my own time, because if it wasn't that, I would 100% be watching these in my own time. I love them. They are so cool. Just the information and lore dumping is amazing. It vastly makes me excited about the idea of Warhammer. Never did I think I'd ever want to collect these figures, and already right now I'm like, I wonder if there's a way I can do it. Maybe I can get my children into Warhammer. That'd probably be the best thing. If I can teach my sons to paint, then I can get the cool figures. They can paint them and make them look amazing, and then I can look after the cool figures, you know? Like, maybe I can get something like that going around. I just need to befriend someone who's really good at painting now. If anyone lives in the UK and wants to become my Warhammer guru, let me know. I know the Yogscast guys play it a lot, but I don't think the Yogscast guys even know who I am. Then again, no UK YouTubers really know who I am. Actually, I don't think a single one does. I really just like sit outside of the UK YouTube scene Big time. You've got like the multiple big groups. You've got the Sidemen, and then every single fucking London YouTuber is all friends with the Sidemen. For like, if you live in London, you're friends with Sidemen. Sadly, I don't. So there you go. And then you've got like the Bristol YouTube scene, which is huge. And then you've got like Tommy in it and his crew. I think that's it, right? It's quite a randomly sized Newcastle YouTube scene as well. But yeah, and then you got me. And then you got me. Just me, on my own. I guess the only other UK YouTuber I know that hasn't done any videos with anyone else would be Colin First, but he's drastically bigger than me, but he's awesome and does very different content. If you don't know who he is, I definitely recommend checking out his channel, actually. But yes, anyway, random tangent over. I have massively enjoyed these. Thank you for supporting them, and I cannot wait to watch more. I love this universe. It is cool and epic and just the best freaking thing ever. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my reaction. Have yourself an amazing day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.